earlier, we're taking care of each other. Where are you? Where the fuck are you? We can't even ask for pie in the sky things. We can't even ask for nice things because we take for the low-hanging fruit, and you won't even give us that. We can't even have that. And we'd be happy to have housing, food. Thanks.
Elizabeth is followed by Isaiah Garcia, and then Jay Coffey.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth McGriff, and the reason why I'm here is because I think the budget should be representative of what the community wants. If the community is asking for more money for their children to go to school, for their food, for their education, it should be in the budget. I think if the people ask for mental health services because of the trauma that has been gone through many generations, it needs to be in the budget. When people ask not to be evicted out of their homes, to stay where they lived, it needs to be in the budget. We want good housing. We're asking that the city put $5 million into the tenant purchase assistance program, allowing tenants to own their property, giving ownership a place that that would allow them to move upward instead of being lorded by a landlord. The other thing that we're asking is $1 million for tenants to be put in the emergency repair program for when the landlord doesn't keep up with the property, that the city will take on that role and protect the tenants so that they can have heat in the wintertime. We're also asking $50,000 to do a new vacancy study survey. The first one, the landlords reported. There was no place to say whether this is true or not, and only 30% of the landlords reported. That's not an accurate study. You need an accurate study which represents all the landlords. So that's it. And regarding Columbus Day, I think we need to make it Indigenous Day.
Isaiah Garcia. Is Isaiah Garcia here? Jay Coffey.
Hey everybody, peace and love. Okay. My heart is like about to explode out my chest. But when I think of the police, I think of the people that should have saved my father. This year, 11/12, it'll be 10 years that he passed on his birthday. And I know that he struggled with a lot of things in his life, but I don't think that he should have been subject to his death. There's a lot of people like me. There's a lot of Daniel Prudes. There's a lot of people like my father, James Coffey, that died in the hands of police. And every day I look at the picture on my wall of my father, of my brothers, my brother in Attica prison. I haven't heard from my brother in over a month in Attica prison. And I don't know if you feel it, but I feel like that could have been me. That could have been my aunts. That could have been my grandmother. That could have been in that Buffalo grocery store. He had plans to come to West Avenue. You know, for how I make my money, I do a lot of shopping. I could have been in that store. I remember waking up just 2 months ago. The first thing I did was go to West Avenue. That could have been me in that store. Every day, it's even hard just to get out the door because I got so much trauma in my life. You know, my brother is a UPS driver, and he got suspended 2 weeks ago because he didn't take his break. He saw that kid get off that bus up the street from my house and got shot. He saw him laying dead, and he couldn't stop because he didn't have enough time because he didn't want to get written up. It's real out here. You know, what could I do? I'm fighting A lot. I'm fighting a lot. And I just ask that you guys do it for the children. I remember being in John Marshall High School, and I remember Lovely Warren always coming to speak to us. And I'm not here to praise or definitely not to kick anyone down, but I remember her giving us hope. And I remember just being a teenager and her being on city council, and I could not see what it meant to be a law student at that time. There was no Facebook, there was no YouTube. I did not know what being black actually meant. Yeah, you learned about some of the history during Black History Month, but I did not know what it actually meant. In today's, like, people, Amber Arbery and Philindo Castile, Breonna Taylor, all of these people, my dad, you know, it's reality. And when you don't wear that skin, it doesn't matter how much money you have in America. We know the true history. Just 100 years ago, you had Tulsa, Oklahoma, you know, of the government bombing people, us. You know, when can we catch a break? When enough is enough? I'm representing many people that should be here right now. When you go to Rochester, you see people like
That's your time.
all over.
Thank you.
They're not here because life is sucking them up. And it's time that we look out for these people. How can people raise their children when they're in the prison system and you have all these stipulations on them and they can provide for their kids? People getting shot in their cars on Thanksgiving and dying in front of their sisters because it's so rough out here.
Thank you, sir. That is your time. Thank you. So with that, based on our schedule here, we will be taking a 5-minute break. All speakers on the B list are welcome to stick around if they'd like to continue to speak after the council meeting. Otherwise, they'll be put first on the B list next month. And with that, we'll take a 5-minute break and convene the council meeting, the general meeting, at around 7:42.
Unbelievable.
There's never a good day.
not happy. No. It's what it's worth going down another level.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Please take your seats.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June 2022 City Council meeting. We are meeting in person this evening in City Council chambers here at City Hall. We continue to offer meeting access to the public by posting meeting information and materials on the city's website at www.cityofrochester.gov/public meetings and streaming our meetings live on City 12 TV and the City Council's YouTube and Facebook pages. I would like to remind my colleagues on council and in the administration to please speak into their microphones so that folks watching online can hear. The meeting will come to order, and I ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Gruber?
Here.
Councilmember Harris?
Present.
Councilmember Lightfoot? Here. Councilmember Martin?
Here.
Councilmember Patterson?
Here.
Councilmember Pio?
Here.
Councilmember Smith?
Here.
Vice President Lupien?
Here.
President Melendez?
Here.
Thank you.
I would like to ask the council to join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Councilmember Harris, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, please stand.
Next, we have the approval of the minutes of the May regular meeting and special meetings by Councilmember Patterson.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting on May 10th, 2022, and the special meeting on May 16th, 2022, and May 19th, 2022 be approved as published in the official sheets of the proceedings.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
The following documents are hereby directed to be received and filed. There are no communications received from the mayor's office. The council submits disclosure of interest forms from President Melendez on introductory number 195, Councilmember Gruber on introductory number 206, Councilmember Harris on introductory numbers 213, 221, and 223, and Vice President Lupien on introductory numbers 213, 221, and 223.
Thank you. These documents will be received and filed. It is time for the presentation and reference of petitions and any other communications. Are there any petitions? If there are none, we will now move on to the introduction of action upon local laws, ordinances, and resolutions. Tonight I am introducing a message of necessity related to Ordinance 2022-145. First, per Section 17 of the City Charter, we must vote to authorize consideration of this legislation without referring it to a standing committee. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. There is none. It's going to require a roll call on this. Now we'll vote on introductory number 230 relating to an agreement to investigate the Police Accountability Board. This requires a roll call vote.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
I have a question,
Yes.
just a quick question. Just want to clarify where the funds will be coming from for the increase.
Yes, the fundings for the increase will come from the same source, so it'll be from the Police Accountability Board budget.
Okay, I'll be voting no because I see it as punitive to take money from them to investigate a complaint.
Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Lightfoot. Yes. Councilmember Martin,
No.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Pio,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Vice President Lupian,
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes.
Thank you.
We will now move to the reports of standing committees and action thereon. Councilmember Gruber, the Finance Committee report, please.
To the Council, the Finance Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation: Introductory number 189, authorizing an agreement related to the 2022 Rochester Fringe Festival. Introductory number 190, authorizing an agreement related to the 2022 Rock Holiday Village. Introductory number 191, authorizing an agreement related to medical services for non-uniformed employees. Introductory number 192, authorizing an agreement related to unemployment claims administration. Introductory number 193, authorizing competitive grant applications. Introductory number 194, authorizing a master license agreement with Frontier Telephone of Rochester Incorporated. Introductory number 195, authorizing the deferral of an annual loan repayment for the Rochester Convention Center Management Corporation. Introductory number 196, a resolution declaring June 19th as Juneteenth and endorsing its establishment as an official paid holiday of the City of Rochester. Introductory number 197, declaring the second Monday of October as Indigenous Peoples Day as amended. Introductory number 218, amending the 2021-22 budget by appropriating unanticipated revenues to the operating budgets of the Police Department and Fire Department. Introductory number 229, authorizing an agreement related to mental health first aid training. The Finance Committee recommends the following entitled legislation to be held in committee. Introductory number 219, resolution approving the 2022-23 debt limit for general municipal purposes. Introductory number 220, adoption of the budget estimates for municipal purposes for the 2022-23 fiscal year, appropriation of sums set forth therein, and approving commercial refuse fees. Introductory number 221, adoption of the budget estimates for school purposes for the 2022-23 fiscal year, and appropriation of sums set forth therein. Introductory number 222, levying taxes for municipal purposes for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2022, and expiring June 30, 2023. Introductory number 223, levying taxes for school purposes for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2022, and expiring June 30, 2023. Introductory number 224, local improvement ordinance, street cleaning, street and sidewalk snow removal, and hazardous sidewalk repair commencing July 1, 2022, and expiring June 30, 2023. Introductory number 225, confirming the assessments, amounts, and charges to be inserted in the annual tax rolls for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2022, and expiring June 30, 2023. Introductory number 226, amending the municipal code with respect to refuse fees. Introductory number 227, amending the municipal code with respect to parking fees. And finally, introductory number 228, local law modifying the charter with regard to Memorial Day observances. This report was respectfully submitted by Councilmember Michael Patterson, Council Vice President Mary Lupian, Councilmember Kim Smith, Council President Miguel Melendez, and myself.
Thank you, Councilmember Gruber. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we'll proceed with the vote. Introductory number 189, authorizing an agreement related to the 2022 Rochester Fringe Festival. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Introductory number 190, authorizing an agreement related to the 2022 Rock Holiday Village. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Introductory number 191, authorizing an agreement related to medical services for non-uniformed employees. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Introductory number 192, authorizing an agreement related to unemployment claims administration. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Introductory number 193, authorizing competitive grant applications. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Introductory number 194, authorizing a master license agreement with Frontier Telephone of Rochester, Inc. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay.
Nay. Sorry.
The motion
I'm
carries.
nay.
Introductory number 195, authorizing a deferral of an annual loan repayment for the Rochester Convention Center Management Corporation. This requires a roll call vote. So on introductory number 194, we have Councilmember Martin saying no. Was there another nay? Okay, just to make sure we're clear on the record. Thank you. So introductory number 195 requires a roll call vote.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Lightfoot. Yes. Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Pio,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Vice President Lupian,
Yes.
President Melendez.
Abstain. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Introductory number 196, a resolution declaring June 19th as Juneteenth and endorsing its establishment as an official paid holiday of the city of Rochester. Mr. Mayor, we look forward to you collectively bargaining this and negotiating this with all the unions, but we really want to see this happen, and we're excited about it, so the work's ahead of you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Introductory number 197, an ordinance declaring the second Monday of October as Indigenous Peoples' Day, as amended. Before we vote, I just want to thank all the speakers that came before us tonight. I also want to thank my colleagues for helping us push this forward, and we look forward to seeing this become a moment of pride in our city, and we stand with you, and I want to say today that we see you.
I also just want to add a thanks to the incredible work of the organizing committee. This legislation would not be in front of us if it wasn't for the hard work of you all.
With that, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Introductory number 218, amending the 2021-22 budget by appropriating unanticipated revenues to the operating budgets of the Rochester Police Department and Fire Department. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
The motion carries. Yes, 6-3. Introductory number 229, authorizing an agreement related to mental health first aid training. Councilmember Gruber, anything to add here?
Just looking forward to the work getting done. It's
All
exciting.
right, thank you. All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chairperson Gruber, do you have a motion on introductory number 219?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 219, the resolution approving the 2022-23 debt limit for general municipal purposes from committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Let's vote on discharging introductory number 219 from committee. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Now let's vote on introductory number 219. All in favor, please say aye. 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 All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chairperson Gruber, motion on introductory number 220.
I'd like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 220, adopting the budget estimates for municipal purposes for the 2022-23 fiscal year, appropriation of sums set forth therein, and approving commercial refuse fees from committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Let's vote on discharging introductory number 220 from committee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. So before we vote on introductory number 220, I'd like to offer my colleagues a moment to make statements or comments at this point.
So I would like to propose an amendment, and I'm proposing that we decrease the cash capital by $650,000 to eliminate the proposed replacement of blue light camera infrastructure. The reason I'm proposing this is RPD wasn't able to articulate any kind of policy and procedure that would allow for community input in how we are surveilled. And it was my understanding that there currently wasn't something in place, so I don't feel comfortable supporting something like that without community involvement. I would also like to propose a decrease to the RPD budget by $84,100 to eliminate the second business intelligence, Office of Business Intelligence digital media specialist. They already have that, a person in that position, and I'm unable to understand what they would add based on what they asked for last year when it came to having more analysts to collect data. Additionally, I'm asking to amend the budget by decreasing the RPD budget by $7,000 to eliminate the proposed police patrol assault rifles at a time where communities across the state are asking to ban assault rifles. It seems very reckless for us to continue to invest in something like that. The total budget reduction will be $741,000, and I would like to use those funds to increase hours at the library and increase services at the rec centers and increase hours at the rec centers. These are things that show that are proven to keep our community safe, and these amendments are so minimal in comparison to the $91 million in the RPD budget.
So an amendment is on the floor.
Can we ask questions
Yes.
concerning the amendment? Thank you, Mr. President. To the administration, concerning rec centers and hours, I just think I saw recently on television, I believe it was on, it said that our centers' hours are getting ready to increase. Did I see misinformation or something?
No,
or could you
no. In fact, as you know, first off, and I can talk more about this, Mr. President, when we have time to vote on the budget. So I'd like some time to be able to walk through that. You are correct. We are increasing rec center hours at several of our rec centers, and we are adding Saturday hours for the first time. So this is the first time I'm hearing of these amendments. As you know, this budget came out on May 13th. Hearings were moved up. The first hearings took place at the end of May. So the administration would have loved to be able to explain what we're doing around rec centers. We heard during the budget deliberations that it was the desire of council to add rec center hours, so we did that. And in addition to that, we added Saturday hours. So that's in this budget. So yes, you are correct.
Thank you.
President Melendez.
Yes, so is there so there's a proposal for an amendment, a reduction in expenditures. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, so now we vote on the amendment.
President Melendez.
Yes, Councilmember Gruber, sorry.
Similarly to Mayor Evans, I we worked very hard to try to move the budget process forward, to have these conversations prior to. I saw this amendment for the first time an hour ago. I just want to understand the math. Like, what are 370? Is there a proposed use for the $370,000? Have there been discussions with
Yes.
the library or the Department of Recreation to figure out if those dollars will actually increase hours?
So I want to start by addressing the whole budget process. Having 1 month to go through over 600 pages for a document that is going to dictate how we spend our dollars in the community is simply not enough. In other communities, city council members are able to be involved in the proposals from different departments, so they don't have simply 1 month to go through it and figure out what amendments to make and what's going to pass. In speaking to actual staff who works at the rec centers, there is concern about staffing shortages, concern about salary, concern about the summer coming up and hours not being extended to meet the needs of community members. So I came to these, we came to these decisions based on talking to community members, families who use the rec centers, and being able to reallocate funding from the RPD budget that the community is asking for. We've heard so many people ask for reallocation of funds into youth services and programs, and this is just a beginning of doing exactly that. So I hope that answers your question.
I just want to try to get an understanding of what is the $370,000. Is that, are there like staff appropriations with that? Is Commissioner Green here? Does that do those, or Director Utaro? Like, I guess I understand the ethos of what you're saying, Councilmember Martin. I don't fundamentally understand, based on this amendment, what kind of hours this actually increases.
Absolutely. So this could include staffing hours, like actually to pay someone to be able to extend the hours of the library, to have someone be there. It could also be used to pay people at the rec center to extend their hours. They're open and they're there.
But there's not been a conversation with Commissioner Green, Director Utaro, or anyone to see.
That's not a requirement to make a budget amendment.
No, I'm just
like we allocated $5 million for violence prevention before even deciding who the RFP and funds would go to. So right now, I would like to earmark these dollars to go to the community and the rec centers, and no one is going to turn down more staff.
I have a question. Councilmember Martin, if you can also explain your budgetary item for the library as well?
Yes, it's the same thing. In Rochester, not all the libraries are open during high need hours, once again due to staffing issues. I would like to see libraries in different communities be able to access extended staff hours for families to be able to utilize them better.
Thank you. Just for the record, I just found out about these budget item amendments today and tried to connect with Dr. Green to explain shortly what the amendments were, but we just looked them over quickly and didn't have a lot of time to digest it.
I understand.
President Melendez?
Yes, Councilmember Pio.
Thank you very much. The part with the blue light cameras, I completely understand where you're coming from, but I have to represent my Northwest district. We had a 17-year-old on Otis Street who died while he was shot as soon as he stepped foot off the school bus. The only reason we caught the killer was because of blue light camera. The 16-year-old young teenage girl who just wanted to go to a party on Edgerton. We have nobody wants to speak up, and the person that shot that person, they went through at least 2 areas that were supposed to have blue light cameras, but they've been down because we haven't had the money to update them, to upgrade them. So I get what you're saying. Trust me, I don't want to be surveilled, but we have young boys and girls who are dying at the hands of bad people, and our blue light cameras have, we need to catch the bad people. That's my...
So I hear you. I would like policy and procedures to be in place before just allocating this money to surveil our communities. At the end of the day, we all want people to be safe. We want people to be free from harm and violence. And I'm committed to that. I simply want community to be involved in how they are surveilled. And that's all I'm asking. A hold on this and working with community members, the Police Accountability Board, to create policies and procedures that would allow us to know how we're being surveilled and what the data being collected is used for.
Mr. President, I just real quickly, because also was mentioned about the assault, the rifles for the RPD, and I want to address that to understand that I believe, especially in this climate that we have, we heard it mentioned tonight. We heard people mention tonight about active shooters in Buffalo. Active shooters were coming to Rochester. So I'm inclined to make sure that our officers are equipped with the tools that they need in the event that they have to engage active shooters. So that, to me, that is very critical. And I just want to make sure that we understand that they need the tools that they need to have in order to do the job that they need to do, especially in this particular climate that we have, with that being somewhat of a thing that is happening across our country, in our schools, in our places of houses of worship, as well as in the grocery stores. So I just wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Right, and I will just respond by saying police officers with assault rifles did not prevent the people from being killed in Buffalo. They did not prevent the children from being killed in Uvalde. I hear you.
And excuse me, Mr. President, libraries and what you're talking about that we're already doing is not going to do that either. So your point.
It actually keeps people safe. Yeah. Libraries and youth programs keep people safe, not assault rifles.
With that, we have.
And a book ain't going to do it either.
We have a proposal for a reduction in expenditures on the floor. It's been seconded. Is there any further discussion at this point?
President Melendez, I have a question. At this time, I mean, these items have been suggested. We can amend the budget at any time. Is that correct to the administration? Correct. And is that common practice to the administration?
From time to time, and usually there is a collaborative process where there's conversations that happen. And as you know, the budget process doesn't start in May. It started in January when council first, as you know, sent the administration, first time ever, when I asked items that were high priorities for council, and then we included them in the budget. But yes, usually it's done through collaboration, and in keeping with the goal of this administration, which is to build bridges. It takes both ways to do that. We thought we did that when we started in January by asking for council priorities, which are included all throughout this budget, which I will detail when we have time. But yes, Councilmember Harris, you are correct. You are correct. We will be amending the budget tons of times this year because we have almost $80 million in ARPA funds that we will be amending, that we will be adding to this budget as we decide how those funds will be spent. So yes, you are correct.
Thank you. I'd just like to add to my comments, I'd like to thank Councilmember Martin and our other colleagues in presenting this. And I'd like to add, for the record, to say that I'm all for increasing the library budget. I'm all for increasing human service budget to support our youth. I'd like to have further discussion and consider amending this and making sure that we can do things in order and decency as it relates to amending the budget. Thank you.
All right, with that, I believe we will vote on the amendment, and I'm going to ask that this be a, does this need to be a roll call vote? Yeah, we'll make this a roll call vote.
Our children need you today.
Councilmember Gruber.
No.
Councilmember Harris.
No.
Councilmember Lightfoot. No. Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
No.
Councilmember Pio.
No.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Vice President Lupien.
Yes.
President Melendez.
No.
President Melendez,
Yes.
I have an amendment.
So, Councilmember Lupien, or Vice President Lupien, please.
I'd like to make an amendment to the budget to Introductory 220 to allocate an amount not to exceed $220,000 from undistributed and direct that the administration to undertake the following. Analyze the creation of a potential community response department through an RFP not to exceed $1,000 from undistributed. This is something that we've written the administration a memo about. The idea of creating a community response department to unite all of our existing and future alternate response models in addition to potentially violence prevention. 2, analyze the efficiency of RPD personnel through an RFP not to exceed $100,000 from undistributed. This is something we talked about during the budget hearings. The last time a study of this sort was done in 2015, and there's quite a bit different since then. And 3, to conduct a study of 911 calls through an RFP not to exceed $20,000 from undistributed, and to adjust the appropriate departmental budget lines impacted by these changes and expenditures using dollars from undistributed as noted above. Do I have a second?
So discussion? Councilmember Lightfoot?
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate, again, the Vice President and members for putting forth proposals for the budget to potentially amend the budget. However, I just want to remind individuals of what's been said in these chambers. I've been here, my second term, and what's been said oftentimes is that different legislation has come before this body at last minute, right? And there's the same folks that are out there are saying that that's wrong, that we should have more time to review information before it comes on, that we don't just rubber stamp and put stuff through quickly. That's exactly what's trying to happen tonight.
I'd like to respond.
It's hypocrisy.
I'd like to respond. I'd like to respond.
And I'm not afraid to say it. It's hypocrisy. The same thing that took time to figure out for us doing, you're trying to do tonight, and it's wrong. And I'm voting no.
Lightfoot. All right, everyone, please.
I just want to address that really
Vice
quickly.
Vice President, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to.
You're hypocrites.
I want to address Councilmember Lightfoot. I just want to say I acknowledge that, and I take responsibility. We put these amendments before you just a few hours ago, and it's a function of the time in the budget. Us having busy lives, but also the fact that we've been waiting on information to make sure that these were airtight. So I just want to acknowledge that.
I'm just not afraid. I'm just not afraid to tell the truth. You can't vote me out. I'm not afraid to tell the truth. It's hypocritical and it's wrong.
Someone please call order. We need to get through this process.
All right, everyone. I understand that this has been an important night, an important budget vote, but we're going to need to maintain some order in the council chambers, please.
President Melendez, I'd like to have a turn to speak, please.
Yes, Councilmember Martin.
Thank you. So I just want to say we've had a caucus meeting as a council, and something that has come up are, community responses to quality of life incidences. We've talked about, even with the mayor being present, a study to understand the workload of RPD and how to right-size the RPD. So these things are items that have been discussed prior to this moment. Yes, Councilmember Lightfoot may have just been seeing them now, but these mirror some of the conversations we've had in the past around what we want to see differently and what we can do as a council. So just wanted to say that.
Yeah, if I can just jump in for a moment and say, these, regardless of how we receive these tonight, these are definitely items that this council has an interest in. And I think that the question I have is whether or not we're able to increase in expenditures at this time, given that we haven't done any kind of reduction or to the budget as it is.
It's reducing it from undistributed, so it gives and takes.
President Melendez?
Yes, Councilmember Gruber.
Are you asking that question of Corporation Counsel and OMB? Because I have the same question. At the end of the day, I appreciate your candor, Vice President Lupi, and I understand why it's coming to us at the last minute, but the difficulty of it coming at the last minute is that even for those of us who want to see an increase in library or recreation budgets, even those of us who want to see these studies done, I think there could have been an opportunity to actually make these amendments viable. In this particular case, I would ask a question of Corporation Counsel if we can even do what's being put on paper in front of us.
Councilmember Gruber, you cannot. This is not a proper amendment of the budget. Charter in section 3-10 allows council to increase, decrease, or reject any item with certain exceptions. Council's budget authority does not extend to allocating amounts from one budget line for particular programmatic uses and does not authorize council to direct the administration to engage in particular executive operations or projects. Council does not have the authority to create new budget lines, and further, council cannot just say, let's put this in whatever lines it fits in. Any budget amendment has to identify the budget line. But the biggest issue is, this is not the kind of thing that can be done as a budget amendment. This can be done through a regular council item where there's a request for an RFP with OMB determining what line it can come out of, but it cannot be done as part of the budget process.
Thank you. And in this particular case, I would say that both the studies are things, to your point, Councilmember Martin, that we've talked about. I think they're things that we can get done, but they are not things that, personally, I'm not going to vote for them as a budget amendment because we legally cannot do them as budget amendments. So that's where I stand. I don't know where the rest of council is.
Yeah, so if I can chime in as a point of privilege, I feel that we heard that there is a path, potentially, just not as an amendment. So I would encourage us as a council to work on that path. And, you know, clearly this is something that all of council is concerned with. We sent a memo, as mentioned earlier, to the mayor on the community response piece of it. So I would hope that we can circle back and have continued dialogue around these items.
Yeah, and I'm also very confused about your interpretation of the charter, because this is something that this is the first time since I've been on council that we have heard that interpretation. We've always been told that we can make budget amendments in this manner, and, you know, we had our chief of staff doing research on that today. So it's something that I hope, you know, we can continue to look into, you know, potentially when we get our own legal counsel, but that is news to me.
Yeah, I'd like to echo Mary too. We did extensive research on how this can happen, and named where we would be taking the items from and on what budget line. So I do believe this is something that is possible, and I just respectfully disagree with your opinion, which as corporation counsel, you can give legal opinions. It's your opinion.
Yeah, and it is a binding opinion.
We can move money from one department to another.
Exactly.
We cannot compel the administration to do something as part of a budget amendment, which is why, had we put this in council priorities when we sent over council priorities to the administration back in March, I'm sure this would have been in the budget, and there was plenty of opportunity for us to do so. But doing it as a budget amendment, we can move dollars. We can't compel. We also don't know that these costs are actually what it's going to cost to get these studies done.
Similar to Miguel's President Melendez's allocation of $25,000 initially to the law firm, we're able to increase the amount, decrease an amount with a simple amendment. So it is possible to amend and change things. But
council conducted that study. That's a study that we're conducting. This is trying to compel the administration to conduct a study.
No, we are asking to amend the budget, which is within our powers as council members to amend. Yeah.
So I also want to just say that I don't believe that anyone's no vote on this reflects not being a priority. I understand the circumstances, and I look forward to working through this at a later time.
Great. Thank you.
Can it even be presented?
So with that, excuse me, yes?
If it's not within our powers, can it even be presented?
It sounds as if we can't even vote on this item as a...
No, this is not an amendment, a legal amendment that you can vote on.
All right, thank you. So we will move on with the caveat being that we'll continue dialogue around these items into the future. I'd like to offer...
And Mr. President, if I could just say, Council sent a letter a couple of months ago about this topic, and these are topics that we are having. This is a topic that we are having conversations about in the administration. That exact thing about the community response model. Obviously, it takes time. There's collective bargaining issues that we have to deal with that. But that is a letter that you presented to me, that all council members signed, so we see it as a priority and something that we are interested in having further discussion on. So we look forward to having those further discussions. But again, surprised by tonight to see this at the 11th hour.
Well, you did see them Thursday, right?
Right. The whole budget is surprising, and the lack of input by community members and council members is shocking. So it's ridiculous you'd expect us to just rubber stamp it.
So with that, I'm going to actually ask Mayor Evans and Director Burns if you would like to maybe comment on the budget, your first budget as an administration, and the highlights, the changes that have been made. Maybe just give us an overview for the council.
Yeah, sure. First off, I want to thank council because this was the first time ever, and I've been on council for 4 years. I was on council for a brief period of time, as you know, about 4 years. I spent 3 years as finance chair, a year as chair of Parks and Public Works. But before that, I was an intern with City Council, with City Hall, and I also spent time as a legislative aide, so I'm very familiar with the process. And because of that, what I wanted to do was try a different process this year. And as you know, we came in January, and that's almost in the middle of starting the budget. And the first thing that we did was we solicited council on what their priorities were. And we got a letter from council on what all those priorities were that were important to them. I then distributed that to all of our department heads to make sure that even before they started their budget level allocations, that we would be in keeping with the administration's priority of building bridges and being collaborative, to take what it is that were priorities to council and add those into the budget. People often talk about the community piece. Well, we had a telephone town hall with 7,000 individuals that were on this call, that were on that call. And then from there, we did polls with these individuals. This was a diverse group of individuals: Black, white, Latino, Asian, LGBTQ, every corner of the city. You see that reflected in this budget book. We then took their priorities and tried to add them in there. And then the third piece of the budget was we worked with all the departments for them to make their budget level recommendations that they wanted to do based upon them being able to run those departments. And then from there, what we tried to do was take all those different things from council, the community, our staff, the professional staff that runs all the departments from day to day, and put together a budget. It's not a perfect budget, but I will tell you, I think that it is a good budget. This is the first year, as you know, 63% of every dollar that we spend goes to education. We did not fight that this year. We didn't try to change that because we know that education is important. We have our challenges with the Rochester City School District, but we thought it's important to say that will be added in the budget. As you know, you see an 8% increase in recreation spending this year. There's an 8% increase in addition to recreation spending, in violence reduction spending. 8.4 million for violence reduction programs. We've added full-time positions to the Crisis Intervention Service Unit, which equates to 13 new full-time positions in social works and 1.5 position around the navigator position. A priority of council that council asked for us to do: increase minimum wage for all of our employees to professionalize those positions. Add educational enrichment specialists for all of our rec centers. We've, because of what we're doing in this budget, we're going to have the largest ever Summer of Opportunity program participants. And in addition to that, we're going to be able to give stipends to the thousands of students that may not have been able to be chosen in that program. We've expanded rec center hours. We've also expanded hours on Saturday. We've added to our MWBE compliance unit for the first time to have 2 individuals to be able to carry out recommendations from the Race Commission to make sure that we increase the number of people who are doing MWBE following. We know that housing is important. We added for the first time 8 code enforcement officers to be able to crack down on slum landlords, which we know is a major problem in the city, has been a problem in the city, and something that we're not going to tolerate anymore in my administration. We've added an attorney who will work in a cross-functional team with these code enforcement individuals to make sure that they are in court when folks are not doing what they need to do as it relates to their properties, both on the commercial and residential side. So these are just some of the highlights that we have done. We also are funding our financial empowerment centers with both local funds and grant funding that is reflected in this budget. And we're continuing with our work around the Guaranteed Basic Income Program, which we know is important. There's a housing trust fund that's been added into this budget. And we've also added new staff at both the Lincoln and Maplewood libraries to make sure that that those libraries are fully funded. And then the last thing I'll add is our promoting around inclusion and social justice. We added another $1 million for raise funding that we hope to be able to use as a way for kind of a participatory community budgeting session with our community members so they can weigh in on how they want to see that $1 million spent as it relates to social and social equity in Rochester. And in addition to, we were even able to add funds for trees from the environmental standpoint to make sure that the tree index, particularly in the Northeast, will be on par within the next 2 years with the rest of the city. So, and then we did that while still being able to make sure, because of inflation, to keep the property tax level less than 50 cents for our 70 cents for our residents. So we worked very hard to make sure that we got community input. We worked very hard to make sure that we work with council. I want to continue to work with council on this. I thought that we had a good process. we're always looking for ways to improve the process. The next budget process starts tomorrow. 23-24 starts tomorrow. And I hope that council sees itself in this budget, because so much of what I just mentioned was outlined by council in the letter that we had. So I'm very interested in making sure that we have collaboration, that we do bridge building, because in order for us to have a successful city, it's not the mayor alone, it's us as a community, and that involves Rochester City Council. So I want to thank you for giving me the time, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor Evans. Director Burns, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, there's not, and thank you for the opportunity, President Melendez.
Right,
I think the mayor said it perfectly.
Yeah. Mr. President, I do have an
Councilmember
amendment
Smith.
I'd like to propose. Hopefully, this one will not be as controversial, because I believe Councilperson Martin reached out to many of you, and I propose that we eliminate 9 existing part-time city council aide positions and increase city council personnel budget by $403,600 from undistributed to fund the creation of 9 full-time aides with an option to work part-time.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Can I echo my, thank you, Councilmember Smith. I was not reached out to about this. This is my first time seeing it. I'd like to know the same question from Corporation Counsel, if this is a viable amendment or not.
We don't have it in front of us. Can the Councilmember Smith go over the language of the amendment one more time?
Yes, it states,
Kim, is this it? I'll just give it to him.
let me see if council staff can get you a printed copy.
Thank you. So there is a problem with the proposed amendment. It's similar to the last one. It seeks to do more than what council is allowed to do under the charter. When it comes to budget amendments, council can increase, decrease, or reject any item. This goes beyond that by changing specific personnel lines, by specifying brackets, by specifying benefits. All of those are issues that have to run through HR, that have to run through civil service law. So it's not appropriate as a budget amendment. Much of this has to be left to other processes.
I have a question.
So, hold on, I just want to make this statement. So thank you for that. And I hope in the future that we have a proper orientation for new council members, because I came into this seat with the understanding that it was my job, all of our job, to write legislation for the city. And as we propose amendments and as we hear these things, all we are hearing is what we cannot do. So maybe we need a list of what we can do and why we even have council seats.
I have a question, Mr. Beath. So based on what you said, we could technically just increase the council budget line by $403,600 and then reallocate it how we want to?
You can increase any item in the budget, but you got to make sure that the bottom line is the same, so there'd have to be a similar offset to other budget lines, and you would need to identify the specific line that you're either increasing, decreasing, or rejecting.
So the personnel line, right?
Yeah. So we can propose an amendment to the council personnel line using money for $403,600 from undistributed funds.
Council could propose an amendment that decreases undistributed by a certain amount and increases the personnel line for council by a certain amount. Yeah, that would be a valid amendment if it were written and proposed to council.
So I can make that amendment on the floor.
The rules of council require that the amendment be in writing.
So I'm going to write it down, and I mean, how are you all feeling, council members and colleagues?
Well, hold on, I'm sorry. I get the angst about all this, trust me, I get it. There's balances and checks in government for this reason. We have to do things the right way. So I'm with you on this. I'm with you.
So you could vote yes on it.
Could.
You're right. You're with me.
Let's do it the right, I'm with you on the right way.
We're doing it the right way. We're listening to Patrick B.
Okay.
Can I ask Councilmember Martin, since you asked for our temperature, so the purpose of this is specifically so that each of us have an aide, us as part-time council members, each of us has an aide who is full-time.
So I do want to say, based on how we are listed in our retirement plan, we are listed as full-time workers, and some council members do full-time work in these positions but get paid a part-time salary. As we move into a space where council takes on roles that go beyond rubber stamping the administration's work and decisions, we need staff to be able to get some of the work we need done, to do research, to do writing, to do outreach in the community. So the goal will be to have the option for council members who do feel that they need more support to be able to have an aide who can either choose to work full-time or part-time based on a council member's needs. We wanted to be flexible in this and understand that different council members have different needs.
President Melendez, how does this compare to the staffing model that you've proposed for this year's budget? Because we're already seeing a fairly significant increase in council staffing budget, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, that is correct, Councilmember Gruber. As all the council knows, we are adding 4 positions to central staff. The intention was to try to build out a staff that will help with the legislative process to make sure that the cycle is moving in a more smooth and cohesive manner. You know, we do have a position that's focused on communication, something that we really want to get better at with the public. We have some legislative assistants that will focus on research and evaluation. With that being said, I understand that the desire to have additional support. I've felt that since I've joined council that we really need to have additional support as council members. I do believe, and this is just my opinion obviously, but I do believe that this new structure for the council, the new central staff will provide adequate and significant support this year, but there's no way to really know that unless we try the model. So it would be my plea to the council that at this time we do focus on the proposals that we made during the process in our budget, and that we move forward with the existing staffing model, with the caveat and the idea and an understanding that I've heard from at least 4 or 5 council members that have an interest in exploring this further. But that would be my recommendation, is that at this time, respectfully, that we move forward with the model that we're proposing. So I'm assuming just by virtue of the process that we're in a similar place as the previous amendment that was put on the floor, whereas we're not really able to vote on this at this time. However, I think that, to be fair and frank, Councilmember Martin did bring this up in budget hearings. She's brought it up a couple times. I think other council members have as well. And I think that we really need to look at, once we implement the staffing model, where the gaps are and how we move forward. So with that, are there any additional comments on the budget itself before we go to a vote?
do? Sure. I just want to say, there are many, many positive investments in the community represented in this budget. There's millions towards violence prevention, mental health, co-response, expanding homeownership, experimentation with longer arson hours. Council is, getting a jump start on some of the staffing it needs to do its job, just to mention a few things. And it's an impressive feat for the first 6 months of the Evans administration. It also has been one of the most collaborative budgets that I've been a part of, and I can see many of Council's priorities reflected in it. That said, I am called to vote no on the budget. I believe that the money tells the story, and though we've made significant investments in preventing violence this year, we still prioritize enforcement over prevention by multiple factors. We have the data. We know that investing in early intervention, childcare, mental health and wellness, housing, re-entry, job training, transportation, public spaces, and more all lead to safe and thriving communities. But it's hard for many to see outside of the model that we're currently in. But we need to keep our sight on the North Star. The safest communities are the ones with the most resources, not the ones with the most police. And we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in the form of federal dollars to create a truly safe community, and I look forward to continuing to prioritize funding of transformative initiatives and support our children and adults that reduce violence and create prosperity for all.
Thank you.
Can I make a statement as well, Mr. President?
Councilmember Smith, yes.
Yeah, really quick. First, so with this being my first budget, I did find some positives in this process. So first, I want to say thank you to Chair Gruber, who initially sent out that survey so that we could have our voice incorporated into this process. So I appreciate that. And next, I want to acknowledge that I have had several meetings with our mayor. And I believe that our mayor is really committed to leading with care and compassion. We have had conversations where I have watched his eyes water as he talked about gun violence in this city. When good cause evictions failed here at council, had a conversation with him, and he put together the Housing Quality Task Force, and I am really praying that that task force does the right thing for all of our communities. So I want to say that my vote is not a reflection of who you are, Mr. Mayor, and that I do respect you, but I took this seat to be a voice of the community, and I don't think that I need to say why I will vote no, because I believe our community members showed up today and said it all. So I will also be voting no.
I would also like to say something, President Elizabeth.
Councilmember Martin.
I just want to say thank you to community members who consistently show up, make their voices heard, organize their neighborhoods, and come and ask for better options because we know we deserve better. I don't believe that this budget represents a lot of what our community is asking for. I do think there's some good things in there, like the Office of Violence Prevention. However, the amount of funding that goes into alternatives to policing pale to the funding that goes to policing. Our community has been extremely clear in asking for a budget that aligns with safety, which means housing, which means healthcare, mental health services, youth programs, rental assistance, opportunities for tenants to purchase housing. All these things we've heard over and over again from our community, that this is what they want and this is what they need to feel safe. I don't see an alignment between those asks and this budget, so I will be voting no, but with hope that one day we will get the budget we deserve that prioritizes all the things we dream of and we're asking for. Thank you.
Councilmember Gruber?
Yeah, thank you. I did have some comments prepared, but I'm not going to read them because things have taken a little bit of a different turn. I thought this was a very good budget process this year, and I appreciate the administration for working very quickly, not just in hiring a full slate of people from the day you started, but on top of that, putting together a budget that I think is pretty mindful of what council's priorities are. As we heard, on top of that, there was significant community engagement. I know that next year there'll be even more as we develop new tools like OpenGov. To me, I think the important thing is that council put together and ask, the administration listened. That was months ago, and I recognize that clearly some people are in a different place now and have gotten to a different place over the last week or so, and I can understand that, and it is what it is. But I do want to highlight a couple things that I think are really important. We all demanded investments in code enforcement, and I heard the tenants union folks talk about how we shouldn't invest in code enforcement without improving code enforcement, and I don't disagree with that. But we also, I think it's very significant, we're going to have a lawyer who's going to sit in housing court and make sure that repeated code violations and slumlords are taken care of by the legal system. That's a very significant investment that the city is making that I did not know that we were going to get there, and I'm really pleased to see us be there. I also, I heard a lot of people tonight talk about wanting to see less funding to the police department. There's $7 million put into this budget for violence prevention that is very intentionally and deliberately out of the police department and into the work of Director Saunders and a whole bunch of other people, Anthony Hall, a whole bunch of other people who are making sure that they have boots to the ground in the community. I think that's a very significant investment. And perhaps most importantly, we're starting to see the right move of moving from part-time to full-time employment at rec centers, at libraries. We still have a ways to go. I really, really hope that we see major improvements on that over the next several budget cycles. But I think those are all really important things. There's work I wish was done. I wish we had more work on our climate action plan in here. I wish there was more resources to our parks, our gardens, to a plan for electric vehicles. We really need to figure out how to work on our ballooning police overtime costs, which, as we talked about in the committee meeting, is largely determined by the administration's ability to negotiate a new contract with the Locust Club, and I certainly hope that we can expedite that quickly. But I think this is a good start to investing in the people, the software, and the equipment that we need to make our city operate effectively. I just want to say one last thing, which is that this budget is unique because it's probably the only time we're ever going to sit here and pass a budget of $600 some odd million and have $80 million left to spend. And the opportunity for ARPA dollars is truly once in a lifetime. And I really hope that we as a council can figure out how we can really unify priorities, make those things very clear to the administration, and sit around a table and start to work at some of this stuff. Because I think there's actually a whole lot more agreement than there is disagreement. And we just need the time and the process to get there. So I'll be voting yes, and I appreciate the work that the administration put together on this.
Great, thank you. Any additional comments?
Yes.
Councilmember Pio?
Thank you. I think we've got enough fluff about the budget. It's a fantastic budget. Great job, guys. What sticks out to me is the school budget. I really wish we had an opportunity to have more say in it. They have almost $1.2 billion, and they are the #1 reason why people are leaving our city. We need to have more say in this. And you're absolutely right. We are giving our kids crap food, absolutely crap food. And we're not providing them the opportunities after school with after-school programs. We're not doing a great job with our summer programs. We're doing better, though. But $1.2 billion. And trust me, I get it with the $91 million for the police budget, but we are allocating a lot to prevention as well. But our school budget is absurd. Absurd. Their enrollment is going down. Kids are graduating with 3rd grade reading levels, and they want more money. To me, that's the most absurd thing I can see. So I would love to see the city find a way that we could have more control over the budget, more oversight over their budget, because I don't see how we can give them $1.2 billion and let them have at it.
All right, thank you. So with that, that's actually introductory number 221, which is in committee, so we'll have that discussion momentarily. I just want to thank the mayor and the team. I know there's a lot of work that went into this budget. Commend the administration. It's a difficult thing to produce, I'm sure, in transition, as well as building a team or building a car while you're driving, I guess. So thank you for all the work that you've done on this budget. I do think that there's some priorities that we want to continue to have dialogue around. Certainly we keep hearing about housing quality, code enforcement, mental health, and other investments that we need to continue to invest in. And code enforcement, I think the conversation extends beyond resources. It's also around teeth and what can we do as a city. And I think the Housing Quality Task Force will provide some recommendations, and we'll need to continue to work in that vein. I do want to bring up another matter that is in the budget, that is within the council's purview, and that is the council office is the council clerk and the Police Accountability Board. So with respect to the Police Accountability Board, I want to start by just bringing a message to the public. First, this council believes in accountability. We still believe in the legislation that was passed by some members of this body. Were part of the legislation and crafting the legislation. Actually, the mayor was part of passing the legislation as well. Some council members were on the advocacy side in the community as civilians, and we believe in the referendum that was passed in 2019, which focused on investigating civilian complaints, subpoena power for investigations, and determining whether individual officers have committed misconduct. As part of the budget process, and I stated this during the hearings, I believe that this council, this body, has provided the necessary resources at this point in time to do this work, and we will maintain that belief. However, as everyone knows, there's been some legitimate concerns that have arisen the past few weeks. Certainly the Police Accountability Board did not produce in their key performance indicators this year. They've put their executive director on leave. Council has authorized an agreement for an outside independent investigator, which we just updated tonight as a matter of course. And a few boards have decided to step down, board members decided to step down, and it leaves a lot of unanswered questions for us. In mid-May, we acted on an accountability plan, and heading into the new fiscal year, we're going to maintain that plan until the outcome of the investigation. Tonight, though, I just want to note that we will be maintaining the entirety of the PAB budget as proposed, but we will hold some of the resources in the reserve for a 6-month period. So we're going to provide half up front and then have accountability measures in place that will work with the board and the staff to implement. We'll diligently hold bi-monthly meetings with the council and the PAB to review progress this year against their key performance indicators. And if the PAB makes progress towards their goals, which I fully expect them to do so, and none more important than beginning to accept complaints and review cases, then the City Council will release the necessary resources to continue their work prior to really looking at the halfway point of the year. So these measures, again, are about accountability, results, collaboration, and progress, which we expect to achieve this budget year, nothing more, nothing less. And I'm looking forward to working with and have confidence in Board Chair Larry Knox. I have appointed Councilmember Smith to be the liaison between this council and the board. And I believe that she's done an excellent job providing council connection and support. And this council will collaborate as necessary with PAB board and staff. So by taking these actions, this will focus the energy on the job that everyone wants them to do, accept and review cases of alleged police misconduct, which was the main emphasis in the referendum that citizens of Rochester voted on. So I won't belabor the point any further. I just wanted to make it clear that we will be taking additional actions and working with the PAB on an accountability plan moving forward. That's part of this budget vote. So with that, I think we can move forward and have a conversation, or actually move forward with the vote. So now let's vote on introductory number 220. This requires, we're actually going to do a roll call vote.
Well, just a quick question. It's been a while, and maybe we already did. Did we get a motion in a second on this?
The discharge from committee, yes, we did.
Okay. Just one. That was a discharge from. Okay. Just want to make sure.
Thank you. So now let's vote on introductory number 220. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Lightfoot,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
No.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Pio,
Yes?
Councilmember Smith,
No.
Vice President Lupian,
No.
President Melendez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Chairperson Gruber, do you have a motion on introductory number 221?
Yeah, let's make a motion to discharge introductory number 221, adopting the budget estimates for school purposes for the 2022-23 fiscal year and appropriation of sums set forth therein from committee.
Move it.
So there's a second there by Councilmember Patterson. So all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain.
We're voting on 221 right now, or you're voting to take it out? of
Take it
committee?
out. Discharge from committee, yes.
Who was the second? I think it was moved by Mike. Who seconded it?
I moved it.
Yeah, yep. It was seconded by Councilmember Patterson, yes. Okay, so we will open up for discussion on introductory number 221.
Comments.
Councilmember Patterson?
A few years ago, Commissioner Beatrice LeBron came before this body during one of our budget hearings and told us that the Rochester City School District budget was a sham, that it was not to be trusted, and that it would explode. And we ignored her. And then it exploded. And in the course of solving that problem, a state monitor was appointed for academic and fiscal concerns. I would encourage this community to review her reports on this school district. We have a district where only 13% of our 3rd through 8th graders are literate and numerate, which means we have an 87% failure rate in this district, documented by the state-appointed fiscal monitor. We have just completed a budget hearings with that organization, and they couldn't tell us how many kids were in the district. They couldn't tell us how many staff they employed. That same commissioner, Commissioner Beatrice LeBron, is now the vice president of our school board. In addition to being the vice president of the school board, she is also the finance chair of that organization. To say that their budget process has been shambolic, with a heavy emphasis on the word sham, would be kind. And that's about as kind as I can get about their budget. And Commissioner LeBron, as the vice president and the finance chair, could not bring herself to vote for that budget. If she can't vote for it, and it's her job to know it, look at it, review it, and approve it, I don't see how anybody in this body can do so, but that's up to each and every one to vote their conscience. In addition, in the course of reviewing that budget, I noticed something that I can only characterize as a savage inequity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here in the city of Rochester, we believe that we should educate all of our kids. We provide services as much as we can to every kid, regardless of where they go to school. You live here in the city, we got something for you, we offer something for you. But for some strange reason in that body, roughly 20% of the children that are school eligible in the city of Rochester only receive 10% of dollars that are passed through. That would be in my mind, that would be the equivalent of if we said as a city, hey, if you live in the city and you work in the city, you get one level of service and it's higher. But if you live in the city and you work outside of the city, you get a lower level of service. It would be wrong if we did it, and we don't do that, by the way. So I have a hard time understanding how this organization treats children who are predominantly black and brown who live in our city so radically different. So ladies and gentlemen, my dear colleagues, y'all can vote how you want to vote on this. But I humbly submit to you that I will be voting no, no, hell no. Thank you.
Any additional discussion from council members?
Sure.
Councilmember Gruber?
I don't like voting no on the RCSD budget, but I don't think I can say it much better than Mike said it. I'll just add one more thing. Not only was the process shoddy, as described by the finance chair, but the actual budget we received included minimal information, like Mike said. It actually included wrong numbers and wrong math. And I think most importantly, and truly an unbelievably vague explanation of the expenditure of $131 million in federal funds. If we really think of ARPA dollars as a one-time opportunity to fix what is wrong with some of our major institutions, financially at least, if this is the one time to do it, the amount of information that we got, which was I believe 7 pie charts and no actual narrative around what it is that they're going to do with those dollars, it would be irresponsible of us to say yes to that budget. I really, really implore the school district to do what I know that Mayor Evans and Director Burns are already doing, which is talk to the city, nonstop communication. We are ultimately connected financially, whether we like it or not. And I really believe with President Elliott and Vice President LeBron, we have an opportunity to fix some of this stuff. I won't be voting yes tonight, but I look forward to working with them in the future.
All right, I have a very brief statement. You know, for me, this was very challenging. First to read the state monitor report, then have an opportunity to sit down with the state monitor and get a better sense of what's going on at the district. Then our budget hearings were really challenging from my perspective. When I received the approved budget, the budget book, I was really eager to dive in to understand how the district would be using the dollars, the ARPA dollars, to invest in our children. Unfortunately, what I found with the budget book was very problematic. I won't repeat what everyone else has already said, but for me, the lack of transparency, information being missing, no real effort to downsize. With declining enrollment, just the amount of buildings that the district has at this point in time. For me, the budget was divorced from reality. So I also will be voting no, and I don't envy my counterparts at the district, but I do want to work with them over the course of the next couple of years to try to help right the ship as a city. Because as the school district goes, so does the city, and we have to prioritize investing in our young people in education, and I think we can do that. So if there's no further comments, I would move this to a vote, and we will do a roll call. So I'll just say introductory number 221. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Gruber.
No.
Councilmember Harris.
Abstain?
Councilmember Lightfoot.
No.
Councilmember Martin.
No.
Councilmember Patterson.
No.
Councilmember Pio.
No.
Councilmember Smith.
No.
Vice President Lupian.
Abstain.
President Melendez.
No. Motion fails. Chairperson Gruber, motion on introductory number 222.
I'd like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 222, levying taxes for municipal purposes for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2022, and expiring June 30, 2023 from committee.
Second.
Now let's vote on discharging introductory number 222 from committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Let's vote on introductory number 222. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Chairperson Gruber, do you have a motion on introductory number 223?
I'd like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 223, levying taxes for school purposes for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2022 and expiring June 30, 2023 from committee.
Is there a second?
Reluctantly second.
Let's vote on discharging introductory number 223 from committee. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain.
All opposed say nay. 2 abstentions. Motion carries. Now let's vote on introductory number 220.
President Melendez?
Yes.
Before you continue, I'm just wondering if we could do just a quick explainer about what voting no on the budget means.
Corporation Counsel?
Unfortunately, it is largely a symbolic statement on the part of the council. The budget will go on as it's been sent to council.
Thanks, I just wanted to get that on the record.
It's the perfect illustration of, unfortunately, how little role the city has.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So introductory number 223. We're going to vote on this. All in favor, please say aye.
Reluctantly aye.
Abstain.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
This is 224, right?
223.
Oh, 223. Abstain.
So I have 2 nay, 2 abstain. And the motion carries. Chairperson Gruber, do you have a motion on introductory number 224?
I'd like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 224, a local improvement ordinance approving street cleaning, street and sidewalk snow removal, and hazardous sidewalk repair commencing July 1, 2022 and expiring June 30, 2023 from committee.
Second.
Been seconded, so let's vote on discharge on introductory number 224 from committee. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Now let's vote on introductory number 224. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Lightfoot? Yes. Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Pio?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Vice President Lupien?
Yes.
President Melendez?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Chairperson Gruber, introductory number 225, do you have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 225, confirming the assessments, amounts, and charges to be inserted on the annual tax rolls for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2022 and expiring June 30, 2023 from committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Very well. Let's vote on discharge and introductory number 225 from committee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chairperson Gruber, do you have a motion on another motion on introductory number 225?
Yeah, we need to make a motion to amend adding delinquent refuse and water charges, supplemental taxes, code enforcement, code violations, encroachment fees, rehabilitation charges, local improvements, demolition, and emergency abatement violations.
Is there a second?
Second.
So let's vote on amending introductory number 225. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Now let's vote on the item, introductory number 225. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chairperson Gruber, do you have a motion on introductory number 226?
I'd like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 226, amending the municipal code with respect to refuse fees from committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Let's vote on discharging introductory number 226 from committee. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. So now let's vote on introductory number 226. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chairperson Gruber, do you have a motion on introductory number 227?
I'd like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 227, amending the municipal code with respect to parking fees from committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Let's vote on discharge and introductory number 227 from committee. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Now let's vote on introductory number 227. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chairperson Gruber, do you have a motion on introductory number 228?
I'd like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 228, a local law modifying the charter with regard to Memorial Day observances from committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Let's vote on discharging introductory number 228 from committee. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Now let's vote on introductory number 228. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Lightfoot.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Pio.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Vice President Lupien.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Councilmember Patterson, the Neighborhood and Business Development Committee report, please.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there's more work here for us. To the council, the Neighborhood and Business Development Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 198, authorizing the sale of real estate. Introductory number 199, approving appointments to the City Planning Commission. Introductory number 200, approving appointments to the Rochester Environmental Commission. Introductory number 201, approving appointments to the Rochester Preservation Board as amended. Introductory number 202, approving appointments to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Introductory number 204, authorizing an agreement for hearing officer services. The Neighborhood and Business Development Committee recommends for consideration the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 203, amending the zoning map by changing the zoning classification of 536 Central Avenue. This report is respectfully submitted by Council members Kimberly Smith, Council Vice President Mary Lupien, Council President Miguel A. Melendez, and myself, Michael A. Patterson.
Thank you, Councilmember Patterson. The report will be received, filed, and published, and will proceed with the vote. Introductory number 198, authorizing the sale of real estate. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Introductory number 199, approving appointments to the City Planning Commission. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Introductory number 200, approving appointments to the Rochester Environmental Commission. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Introductory number 201, approving appointments to the Rochester Preservation Board as amended. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Introductory number 202, approving appointments to the Zoning Board of Appeals. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Introductory number 203, amending the zoning map by changing the zoning classification of 536 Central Avenue. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Introductory number 204, authorizing an agreement for hearing officer services. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Councilmember Pio, the Parks and Public Works Committee report, please.
Thank you. To the Council, the Parks and Public Works Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 205, authorizing an agreement for the Rochester Fire Department Needs Assessment Project. Introductory number 206, authorizing an agreement for the Rundell Memorial Library Filtration and Intake Air Upgrades Project. Introductory number 207, authorizing an amendatory agreement related to the Main Street Streetscape Phase 2 project. Introductory number 208, appropriating funds and authorizing agreements for the 2024 State Touring Route Milling and Resurfacing Project, West Main Street, West Broad Street to Churchley Place, and South Plymouth Avenue, 4th Street to Genesee Street. The Parks and Public Works Committee recommends the following entitled legislation to be held in committee. Introductory number 209, amending the official map by abandoning the Albo Place right-of-way. And introductory number 210, amending the official map by abandoning the Sellinger Street right-of-way. Respectfully submitted by Councilmember Mitch Gruber, Willie J. Lightfoot, Vice President Mary Lupien, President Miguel A. Melendez, and myself, Councilman Jose Pio.
Thank you, Councilmember Pio. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we'll proceed with the vote. Introductory number 205, authorizing an agreement for the Rochester Fire Department Needs Assessment Project. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Introductory number 206, authorizing an agreement for the Rundell Memorial Library Filtration and Intake Air Upgrades Project. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Introductory number 207, authorizing an amendatory agreement related to the Main Street Streetscape Phase 2 project. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Lightfoot. Councilmember Martin. Councilmember Patterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Pio.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Vice President Lupien.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes. Motion carries. Introductory number 208, appropriating funds and authorizing agreements for the 2024 State Touring Route Milling and Resurfacing Project, West Main Street, West Broad Street to Church Leah Place, and South Plymouth Avenue, 4th Street to Genesee Street. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. I will now read the Public Safety Committee report. To the Council, the Public Safety Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 211, authorizing agreement and reimbursement of arson task force costs. Introductory number 215, authorizing an agreement for the Peacemaker Fellowship program. Introductory number 216, authorizing agreements for summer youth programming. This report was respectfully submitted by Councilmember Mitch Gruber, Lachey D. Harris, Willie J. Lightfoot, Stanley Martin, Michael A. Patterson, Jose Pio, Vice President Mary Lupien, Councilmember Kimberly Smith, and myself, President Miguel A. Melendez, Jr. That report will be received, filed, and published, and will proceed with the vote. Introductory number 211, authorizing an agreement for reimbursement of arson task force costs. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Introductory number 215, authorizing an agreement for the Peacemaker Fellowship program.
Question, Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Patterson.
Thank you. To the administration, could you please explain to the community what the Peacemaker Fellowship program is?
Mr. Saunders, are you back there before I chime in? Yes, sir. I don't know if you have the mic back there or no?
If not, there's a good mic up here in the front.
Right up front.
Commissioner Miller.
The Peacemaker Fellowship is the name of the street team that will be in place from the Advanced Peace Model from the Oakland, California Advanced Peace Program. It was previously voted on in this council in the previous administration, and we inherited it. I will be working the 10th Ward section of the city, working specifically with intergenerational mentorship, utilizing ex-offenders involved in gun violence who will be mentoring and assisting other individuals who are currently involved and have been involved in gun-involved crime. Now, these same mentors that will be working in the 10th Ward have completed clean probation or paroles and have been working in the community for some time, and they will be the mentors to these individuals that they will assist in putting together life maps, working with them 3 to 4 days a week, allowing them and accessing resources in need of them being able to change their lives in a way that will keep them from needing to carry a firearm in order to survive in the city of Rochester.
So let me just I hear you and I understand you. I just want to be real clear with it. It's ex-shooters talking to potential shooters to get them to put down the gun. Is that what we are funding, sir?
Not necessarily ex-shooters, but gun involved, whether it will be a victim or an assailant in a gun crime.
So we got the credible messengers going out there and talking to the folks who may or, please let me finish, please. We got the credible messengers going out there and talking to the people who may well be the people with the guns.
Correctly.
Thank you, sir.
Great, thank you. Any, so with that, I'd like to move it to a vote. So introductory number 215, authorizing an agreement for the Peacemaker Fellowship program. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Introductory number 216, authorizing agreements for summer youth programming. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Councilmember Harris, the Recreation and Human Services Committee report, please.
Thank you, President Melendez. To the Council, the Recreation and Human Services Committee recommends adoption for the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 213, authorizing funding and agreements for the 2022 Summer Food Service Program. Introductory number 214, appropriating funds and authorizing agreements for the Sexual Risk Avoidance Education Grant Program. Introductory number 217, authorizing agreements for the Living Cities Grant-funded Summer Youth Urban Gardening Program. The Recreation and Human Services Committee recommends the following entitled legislation to be held in committee. Introductory number 212, authorizing an agreement related to a software application services. Respectfully submitted by Councilmember Willie J. Lightfoot, Councilmember Stanley Martin, Vice President Mary Lupian, President Miguel A. Melendez, Jr., and myself.
Thank you, Councilmember Harris. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we'll proceed with the vote. Introductory number 213, authorizing funding agreements for the 2022 Summer Food Service Program. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay.
Abstain.
2 abstentions. Motion carries. Introductory number 214, appropriating funds and authorizing agreements for the Sexual Risk Avoidance Education Grant Program. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Introductory number 217, authorizing agreements for the Living Cities Grant-funded Summer Youth Urban Gardening Program. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chairperson Harris, do you have a motion on introductory number 212, legislation authorizing an agreement related to software application services?
Yes, President Melendez, I would like to make a motion to amend introductory number 212. Can someone second, please?
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead of myself here, so we'll be discharging from committee first.
Oh, okay.
So, do you have a motion to discharge introductory number 212 from committee?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to discharge.
We have a second. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. And now, Chairperson Harris, do you have a motion to amend the item?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to amend, changing the term of the agreement and maximum compensation to introductory 212.
Second.
Thank you. We have a second. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries.
I have a question. What is the, like, what amount are you changing it to? Like the amendment?
I believe it's in the legislation. We can pull
It was
that up.
reducing the term from 5 years to 2 years.
Okay, awesome. Great, thank you, that was it.
So now we'll vote on introductory number 212 as amended. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Is there any other business to come before the council? If there is no other business, we are adjourned. And as a matter of course, we did have a B list, so we are going to stick around just for a moment to see if there's anyone from the B list that is still present.
Dorothy Hayes. Pamela Owens Dade. Miss Dade. Ms. Day, would you still like to speak? Joanne Nesmith LaSure? Josh Metzer? Jonathan Gary? Carrie Perham? Dan Delahanty? Carol Cross? Christina Dandino, Ellen Duncan, Lena Kipso, Martin Kraft, Jan Healy, Anna Harvey, Angela Robinson, ma'am, is the mic on?
Thank you. Hello, my name's Angela Robinson.
Can you hang on 1 second, Ms. Robinson?
Okay. Okay.
Please clear the chambers if you're not speaking. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Robinson.
My name's Angela. I've lived in Beechwood since 1968. I'm with the Beechwood Bears. We represent residents who want a better neighborhood. And we're near North Goodman. It's a really bad, violent crime neighborhood. The drug dealers are respected out there on our streets, and it's a place of fear, and we just want what's better. We don't approve of home leasing coming in and wanting to make our neighborhood more dense. We have a lot of people, not very good people, gunshots, drug sales, drug dealers, constant traffic, sex offenders. There's nowhere to turn. I mean, we're afraid in our houses. One of our members, her house was almost on fire. People were banging on her door to get her out, and she was afraid to open her door. Another night, there was a shooting on the street, and the police came to investigate to see what she saw or what she heard. And in the middle of the night, she was afraid to answer the door. We just want a better neighborhood. We don't want more people, because there's plenty of people in there now that are doing bad things. You know, I don't walk down the streets. I can't come out on my porch and not be spotted and followed by my neighbors. That's all. I just don't think it's fair. They didn't let us know. I don't think it's fair to saturate with more people when we have so much crime and bad people already there. Thank you.
Lori Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. I am here tonight to introduce you to the Beechwood Bears. We are concerned citizens that are no longer willing to stand by and watch our neighborhood be ravaged by violence and filth. We are working with DES, thank you, Mr. Perrin, okay, and any other city department we can to help make our community safe and clean. What do we want from City Council? Acknowledgement, not in the form of plaques and celebration, but acknowledging the fact that we are here to help. Acknowledging that we are connected to the people who live in our neighborhood, and that Beechwood neighbors deserve the same service from our city as our neighbors to the south of us on the other side of the tracks. We do not want to be inundated with violence, but when residents feel abandoned by the police, they resort to ghetto justice. Adding more residents to an unsafe neighborhood makes it more dangerous for everyone. We deserve single-family homes in our empty lots, not multi-unit affordable housing projects. Single and two-family homes are what we are zoned for, and there should be no special permits allowed. Habitat for Humanity is working diligently to construct such units, and we know the only reason for building larger units is purely for profit. We must adhere to the R2 zoning regulations in Beechwood, which will boost home ownership, which increases Rochester's tax base, thereby allowing us to increase services for its residents. There was a planning committee meeting on June 27, 2022. The Beechwood Bears plan on being there to oppose granting home leasing or any other development company a special permit to build multi-unit affordable housing projects in Beechwood. It is our hope that City Council members will support us in our decision. Thank you.
Cheryl Robinson? Cheryl? No? Bill Keenan?
All right, thank you, everyone. That concludes our list of speakers. Thank you to the B-listers for sticking it out with us. Everyone have a good night.
Sit down.